So if I were looking for a mortgage, these would be the things that were most important to me. Number one would be getting your loan closed. Is the person that I'm talking to going to have the ability to close my loan? I believe the best way to know if they are is if you're referred to somebody that actually did a loan with the person you're being referred to, obviously they got their loan closed. It may sound simple, but it is the toughest task in today's market, is getting a loan closed. Number two is make sure it's somebody you're comfortable with and somebody you trust. The reason comfortable, because regardless of how great your credit score, how low your loan to value is, it doesn't matter. The loan process is difficult these days, and you're going to have a lot of communication with that person and their staff. And trust is important, because are you going to get what you stated you were going to get in the beginning when you show up at the closing table? Number three are things done in-house, and I believe this is very important because it all comes down to time. If a loan's being brokered, obviously it takes more time. If a loan, even though you're working with a company in Colorado, but they're sending a loan to Texas, for example, for underwriting, that takes time. And time in this market is very important due to the volatility of the interest rates. Loan processes, there's no denying it, take a lot longer than they ever had in the past, because underwriting conditions, which basically means fitting Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, have become extremely difficult and extremely detailed. So things take longer, and any way you can reduce it, the better. Appraisals are important to me, because if I'm refinancing or even if I'm purchasing, I need the value to come in at the purchase price, or I need the value to come in enough where I don't have to pay mortgage insurance, or high enough so I can get a loan. The question is, who does them? Well, all loans, there was a rule passed that loans being purchased by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have to go through the Home Value Code of Conduct. Home Value Code of Conduct states that appraisals must be ordered through an appraisal management company or a third party. So the question is, where is that third party, that appraisal management company? How do they sign their appraisers, and who determines them? The issue is now with the appraisal management company, they take a portion of the fee, so the appraiser gets a lot less money, maybe half of what they normally would have when they did appraisal. So who controls them, how they're paid, has a big impact on the quality of work that's done. Interest rates, I went over in the previous video, but here's the big things that make a difference. As I stated, almost all loans are now sold to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That means when you're shopping for a mortgage, everybody pretty much has the exact same options available with regards to interest rate. So knowing when to lock your loan, as when I stated, is very important, because obviously you want to lock here and not here. Or if you had your loan in process for a while, you'd prefer to lock here as opposed to here. Monday, or today, which is actually a Friday, there's a big difference in interest rates. What if rates kept going down here? That would be a major issue. Another thing on this, how interest rates are tracked, most people don't have the ability or don't pay for the software to track mortgage-backed securities in real time. So what they end up doing is they track what I used to do, the exact same thing I did, is I track the yield of the 10-year bond. Now the reason they track that, because historically this yield would parallel mortgage-backed securities. However, one doesn't have anything to do with the other. Technically they do, but it's a long story. But anyways, this yield does not automatically track. And not only that, it's a lagging indicator of what's really going on in the mortgage-backed security market. So by the time this goes up, let's say it hits 3, if the yield hits 3, we know rates are going up. We would have already known by tracking mortgage-backed securities in real times. So very important. So another thing with rates, and again, rates I stress because typically it's number one. Notice it's not number one on my list, but it's number one to most people. So how many options are available? Extremely important, as I showed in the last video, and how that loan's being delivered. So what options are available? Make sure you get a bunch of them. Make sure they have a bunch of options to deliver that loan. As I showed you in the previous video, you have several hedges to deliver to. What kind of volume does a company produce? This is the biggest difference between a large company and a small company. The more volume has the biggest impact in interest rate. It is no longer just the mortgage-backed security market, because everybody has this option. But the more volume, the lower interest rate you have, the lower potential rate. And then finally, fees set in stone, as I showed you in the previous video. These processing and underwriting fees, they should be negotiable, because you should have extra money to be able to get a lower rate or lower fees on just about every loan. Hope you find this information useful, and I hope it helps you.